So today I get to welcome a return guest, one of my favorite people in the industry, my friend, the brilliant Kyle Lagunas. Kyle, welcome.
What's up?
Not much. Kyle, I do want to just point out that in honor of you joining, I did bring a bowl of huge,
Oh,
delicious blueberries.
I love it. That's so cute. For people who don't know, I don't know why I started doing it, but when I sign onto my own podcast, I always say, "Hello, my little blueberries."
I
Don't know
love it. I
where
was
it
going to
comes
ask
from.
if you've trademarked that. That's some good branding right there. Kyle, I invited you on because you launched your own venture, Kyle and Co., which is new gen advisory analyst firm. You do a lot of research, but what I think is really cool and is a gap right now in the space is that this is really practitioner focused,
Yeah.
hands-on, like what's practical, what's usable, what people that are actually doing hands-on HR work and talent work in the space, what challenges they have, how you can help surface insights to that group, and how you can help lead things forward as opposed to the more traditional analyst and advisory approach. What drew you to start this new venture, and what are some exciting things that you guys are diving into right now?
My gosh, thank you, dude. I've been doing market research in the space for nearly 15 years now. And the best content, the best outputs were always the ones where I had done like 5, 7, 10 interviews with practitioners in my network, like prying, probing, like delving into the actual work, always netted more valuable research. We are entering, this is unprecedented times. It's just like such a meme now, but it is. I've
Yeah,
been studying
yeah,
innovation cycles for so freaking long. And I came in, I don't know, even like when social mobile cloud was the thing, like Somo Cloud, it was called back then. And video, remember video recruiting when HireVue was literally mailing people webcams because no
yeah,
one had them?
yeah.
So like that was novel. This is catalytic. This is completely different. Not only are we talking about like technology, but I'm also looking at like these economic cycles and looking at like social and political. I think it's more important than ever for us to be leaning in with people actually doing it to benchmark, to identify best practice, to navigate persistent problems. I want to dig into the nuance. I want to dig into
Mhm.
the layers because that's where the actionable insight actually exists.
Yeah, it's relieving the pressure from having to present a polished facade, even though
Mm.
that's not the case for practically any company out there, especially ones that are really trying to work with transformation and working AI into the mix.
Yeah.
What are some of the insights that you're finding with folks that are hands-on, looking to implement, launch, iterate around AI within the organization? What are you finding there?
So there's a couple of things. One is that people are staying on the board. What I mean by that is they are making bets, running low risk pilots, they're experimenting, they're seeing what's working, what's not, and they're doing it in controlled environments. And in order to do that, they have to get like buy-in and support from their executive sponsor. They need to have trust and partnership with their internal partners like IT and legal and compliance and finance. And so, what I'm learning through this, observing what's working, they're not all buying the cool, shiny objects and doing all the most exciting things. What's really moving the needle, and actually, this was a key finding for a study I published this fall, it's the unsexy stuff that's making it work.
Mhm.
It's these things that we treated as like differentiated best practices during cloud transformation or mobile is like governance
Yeah.
and literacy. The other pieces that are like less sexy but interesting is systems need to be way better integrated than they were there or have been. Coalitions. We need to be building coalitions within the organization so that we aren't on our own island trying to do AI in our own HR bubble, that we are connected to the business, that we're connected to operations. The big thing is like the ones who are really maintaining momentum, I'm calling it, because maturity doesn't quite exist yet, but the ones maintaining momentum in AI innovation have started with the least sexy stuff because it's all actually unlocking and unblocking and accelerating that change. They're doing all of like the ground level transformation work that has always been important, but which we kind of, I don't know, left on our to-do list.
It's interesting you say that, because when I'm talking to companies in the space or HR leaders, those are the things that are brought up as the risk factors that need to be considered when implementing AI. Is what's the compliance risk? What's the governance risk? What's the security risk behind these? And then like the data layer too. How do we gather and extrapolate data across disparate systems, like you mentioned, that aren't necessarily integrated to the level that they need to be?
Systems, processes. Yeah. It's so interesting. Governance is a really big one. We don't really have a lot of HR specific AI governance. And I did find in my study that like having some governance helps with AI adoption, but actually not having HR specific governance was the biggest difference between those who were out in front and those who were behind. You call out risk, bro. Like we have been completely risk averse for generations of HR. And so we have almost no experience with actually evaluating risk and then like working through problem solving, like opportunities to mitigate that risk, assuming some risk, being comfortable with.
Yeah.
If there's a 1% hallucination rate in this tool, like there's definitely 10% of humans that are making errors. We're still saying
100%.
like, oh no, 1% is too much risk for the AI, but we'll stay by not calculating the human risk. I do like that our initial reaction to this is like, how do we do this safely, ethically, compliantly? But we have to then find the answers to those questions. That's our responsibility now. It's not just posing them as obstacles. It is, oh no, that's partly my work now as an HR leader, is to figure out how we do this. But it is interesting, Joel, that we call that out, because so I did this major study, like 360 HR leaders in North America and in the EU and UK. I was expecting that the regulation that's coming, like the EU AI Act, I was expecting that because there was this pretty robust body of legislation to regulate the use of AI in the EU, my benchmark was 22% of companies were at that higher levels of adoption. So that was pretty good, like 1 in 5. We're actually not in a bad way. What was also interesting was that I was looking at the laggard groups, those who were at the lowest levels of adoption. There was actually a higher percentage of laggards in North America than there was in the EU and UK. And it's like governance matters because it helps us feel more confident and safer. Risk management matters because it makes us feel like we are doing more than just turning something on and seeing how it goes, like that we have taken a moment to think through this, identify what the real risk is, and then think about how we're going to manage that. So it was counterintuitive, but I thought it was such a fascinating find. It was like, oh, the EU, UK is actually doing pretty well with AI adoption because they've got this foundation in place to make them feel like they can innovate with confidence. And that's the really big thing that I think is missing in AI right now.